Here's a quote from Warren Buffett, the guy that's worth billions of dollars. Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. This is one of the wisest quotes I have run into lately. So in this video, my friends, I want to share with you 5 easy techniques to skyrocket your savings this year and start saving $1,000 to $10,000. Now, I'm going to give you a warning here because this video is not about cutting your expenses. It's not about cutting cable and living frugally. It's not about that. I'm going to give you here things that I personally introduced in my life that have helped me go from somebody that used to be struggling to actually being able to save for the future and stabilize myself and my family financially. Now, the money that you put aside can help you pay off debt. It can help you invest. It can help you buy a house, which is something that we personally do with my wife. It's going to help you save for emergencies. Maybe you're looking to save for an emergency fund. Or who knows, maybe, just maybe, you want to go on a well-deserved vacation. You're tired of the grind, you're feeling burnout, and you want to pay for the cash, then this video is going to help you do just that. Now, to put things in perspective a little bit, I want to share a little bit of my story because this is not a story from someone that was always good with money. My family struggled with money my whole life, and there are things that my family and my surrounding when I was growing up used to do, and those are the things that kept them stuck in poverty, things that didn't allow them to save money, and things that didn't allow us to save for the future. So I learned to save the hard way, and when I arrived in the USA, I climbed up the corporate ladder, I put myself to college. I also overcame $215,000 in debt, which is no easy feat if you think about it. It takes a lot of discipline, focus, goal setting. So with that being said, my friends, I want to ask you, how hard is it for you to save money right now? If you had a $1,000 emergency fund, would you be able to afford it? According to surveys in America, there's a lot of people who couldn't afford a $400 emergency. I don't want you to be in that position, and I want you to pay attention here in this video because you're going to learn how to make that happen. So I want to introduce to you a quote or a principle from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Reducing resistance makes habits more achievable. One of the things that I've learned along the years is exactly this. The more steps you have to take in order to make something happen, the less likely you are to do it. And this is exactly what I learned also from this book right here, I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. This book right here. For example, brushing your teeth. It's very easy. Generally speaking, you have your toothbrush and you have your toothpaste right there in the bathroom. But if you had to go buy toothpaste every single time you had to brush your teeth, you will be less likely to brush your teeth every single day. I used to do it the hard way. I would do manual savings. I would spend whatever I would spend during the month, entertainment, bills, and whatever, and then save what's left. However, the big drawback with this approach is that many times there was nothing left to save at the end of the month. And one of the things I started doing lately is I started scheduling savings deposits so that way the money gets transferred every single month or every check directly into my savings. This decreases friction. It's an easy process. It's no hassle. By the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're struggling with your career direction and you feel frustrated, you feel stuck, you lack clarity on your next career steps, you're thinking about getting a new job or transitioning industries and you don't know what steps to take or what options you have available, click the link in the description or contact me at alex@alexhill.com. I'll be happy to help you out. Now, here is a little short story from somebody that you may or may not have heard, and that is our friend Spider-Man. And if you know Spider-Man, you're most likely also familiar with his uncle, Ben. Now, if you don't know, the little story here is when Peter Parker first became Spider-Man, his uncle Ben, spoiler alert, when he was dying, he told Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, he told him, with great power comes great responsibility. When you have a lot of power in you, you also have to learn how to use it. Now, here's going to come something a little controversial that I'm going to share with you that I do. Now, of course, this is not for everyone, and I know that Dave Ramsey is pissed right now, but I use credit cards to save money. And this is an idea that you may or may not want to use, or maybe you're already doing it, but you're not doing it wisely. So here's personally what I do. Now, personally, as you can see here in the picture, I was about 19 years old, and I was working in a bank. I was a supervisor. I was already handling credit cards here. I started using credit cards at 18 years old. My first credit card balance was Capital One. It was $500. I made a video about it. And I learned about cashback and rewards, not at the time when I was 18, but 10 years later when I started paying attention to credit cards and rewards and cashback. And nowadays, after a lot of trial and error, trying Chase credit cards, American Express, I stuck with Amazon Prime. That's because my wife and I, we buy a ton of things off Amazon. We buy for our daughter, for myself, for her. We buy all kinds of things there. It's so easy. And we decided, after doing some research, we decided, well, Amazon offers a credit card that gives you cash back on your purchases. Not only that, also when you go to Whole Foods and you buy food, you get points and you get cash in return for your expenses. Let's say, I believe they give you 3 or 5% cash back. So out of $100 that you spend, they give you $5 back. So for us, it was a no-brainer. We decided, okay, well, we buy a lot of things on Amazon to begin with, so might as well just use those purchases, and that way we can, quote-unquote, set some money aside, and all the cashback points and cashback rewards, and we keep it there in an account in Amazon. Now, so far this year, we've accumulated between $1,100 or $1,200, which we are going to be using towards our Christmas expenses. Now, in the past, this is not something that we used to do. We used to just use credit cards, and we never really paid attention to the rewards, which was a big mistake. Now for you, you may not want to use Amazon. It depends on whatever lifestyle you have. But at the end of the day, the key principle is to leverage credit cards so that way you can get money back or cash back or rewards that you can then use to buy other things. Now, with that being said, here's a quote that I love from Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, financial expert, financial guru, huge in YouTube and the financial world. A budget is telling your money where to go as opposed to wondering where it went. Does anybody else here, can you raise your hand or let me know in the comments if you've ever wondered where your money went at the end of the month? I've been there plenty of times. And this is something that is going to keep you chained. It's exactly just like debt. Not knowing where your money went is going to keep you chained because you're going to be wondering what happened to all the income that I brought in. Now, personally, I want to tell you here a little secret about me. And I used to think that having a budget meant being cheap. I used to think that having a budget meant that I was not making enough money. I used to think that having a budget was for people that were just poor and just financially not well off, when in reality it's the complete opposite. I don't know where those thoughts came from, maybe from insecurity, maybe from making it seem like I have this lifestyle and I don't care about the money and I can just spend whatever I want. But that's an idiotic way to think about money, because in order for you to take control of your money, you have to know where it's going, how much you have coming in, and that's just financial responsibility. That's one of my biggest lessons. So when you struggle, and I used to struggle a lot with money, you pay attention. You pay attention to where your money is going, every single penny. You know how much is going to groceries, how much you have left to pay for gas, how much you need to make this month in order to pay for your car insurance, for your car payment, for groceries, for all kinds of stuff. And I've been there. Now, something funny flipped as I started making more money. Once I started making real money, let's say I started working as an engineer, I graduated from engineering school. This is a picture here when I went to a museum visiting. This is the Aerospace Museum in Washington, D.C. Man, I stopped paying attention to where all my money was going, which is completely different than what I used to do, right? When I started working, I started paying attention to everything. So I was eating out, I was partying, I was buying things that it was just useless sometimes. And I started thinking, dude, like, where is my money going? I was so clueless about my expenses. That led me to being in debt. It led me to living paycheck to paycheck. And I knew that at some time, things had to change. So over time, I wanted to get married. My wife and I, one day, we sat down, we started thinking, okay, where's really our money going? And we started paying attention to our numbers. We started paying attention to where everything was going, how much we had coming in, and we realized that we were eating out a lot. Once we started paying attention to our money, we were able to say, okay, we have this many bills every single month. We have this much money for entertainment. We know where this is going, and this is how much we're going to be setting for savings. So one of the key takeaways here that I want to share here with you is Spend the morning and pay attention to where your money is going. Cut useless expenses, maybe subscriptions, maybe you're eating out way too much. Something that I love to do, it's kind of hard to do. But if you're eating out way too much as opposed to ordering food, why don't you just go to the grocery store and buy food that's already pre-made? Something that I do because I don't like to spend too much time cooking. I don't like to cook. That's not me. But just think about your biggest expenses and see whether or not that's necessary. And all of that, it's going to be accomplished with having a budget. And remember, having a budget does not mean being cheap. Now, with that being said, my friends, by losing your goal, you have lost your way. This is a quote from the one and only, talk about influencers. This is one of the guys that set the foundation for Western philosophy and the way we think about life. This guy was way ahead of his time, Friedrich Nietzsche. Now, what do we mean by this? We need to get motivated by establishing goals. If we don't know where we're going, any road is going to take us there. As a result, we're going to be demotivated, we're going to be discouraged. And trust me, I've done it both ways. I have done life without setting goals. That keeps you stuck. It keeps you living paycheck to paycheck. It leaves you living in debt. It leads you to not making progress. It keeps you discouraged because you see yourself not making progress. You feel frustrated. You feel stuck. You feel discouraged. And it's a terrible way to live life. Trust me, I have been there. Now, on the other hand, I have also done life setting goals. This has kept me moving forward. And little did you know, this also keeps you moving forward. For example, when it comes to education, you finish high school, you finish college, you finish a certification. Maybe you in your career, you're working towards a promotion. You are working towards maybe even getting a new job. So there's always things that we are working towards. And that's what gives us motivation to keep moving forward. That's really, at the end of the day, we're built for challenges. Now, this doesn't always have to be with education or your career. It could also be financial goals, fitness. For example, here in this picture, as you can see, I set the goal when I was overweight. I set the goal of losing 40 pounds in 90 days. Now, here is my mid-progress. But I just want to say here that when you set your mind to something, you set your goal, and that leads you to taking steps to make that happen and drive and achieve that goal. And that's what gives you purpose and fulfillment and motivation to keep moving forward. Now, you can also have goals for your family, your relationships. Maybe you want to have a kid in a couple of years. That's one thing that drove us really hard to get out of all of our debt within 3 years, because we wanted to start growing our family, go to a bigger place. It just depends on what you want to do. But establishing financial goals, it's going to be the foundation. Before I give you the last tip to save money here, I want to quickly mention that I know what it feels like to not have enough money to save, even when you already reduce all your expenses. So if you already done everything that you could to reduce your expenses, if you still can't save money, there's a couple of things that you can do, and that's all going to lead to increasing your income. It's a simple equation, simple formula. You either reduce your expenses or you increase your income, and that's what's going to help you save money at the end of the day. So we're either going to need a higher paying job. You may need to acquire new skills. You may need a side hustle, open a side business. That way you can eat a family sushi here by yourself. And this is totally outrageous now that I'm looking at it. This is about 4 or 5 years ago. And here I was working on getting out of debt. And I think this is where I went to reward myself. I think this is one of those cheat days where I was losing money, when I was losing weight. Not only was I losing weight, but I was also getting rid of debt. So this was a wonderful time of a struggle, but it taught me a lot about life. Now, here's the last quote I want to share with you, my friends. Bad debt is sacrificing your future needs for today's desires. And this goes to the story on how I was getting out of debt. Now, this is what I wanted only Susie Orman. The biggest obstacle to saving is bad debt. End it. And as you can see here, I am in Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. And this is where I was in a lot of debt. I was enjoying life, but it's one of those things where would I recommend it to someone? Probably not. Don't get into debt just because you're trying to enjoy life. Now, I used to be in all kinds of debt. If you didn't pay attention, if you don't know anything about me, I used to have car loans, credit cards, personal loans, even owed money to my family. I was keeping up with the monthly struggle of having to pay everyone and everything. And of course, it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll on your stress. It takes a toll on your confidence. It takes a toll of you like having to survive every month. And if you are drowning in debt, if you're trying to keep up with all these different payments, of course you're not going to have enough money to save. And if you are saving money while you are in debt, it's much better to just get rid of all the debt. That way, you're not in my position where I couldn't start a family, I couldn't move to a house, I couldn't buy a car, I couldn't go on vacation, technically, quote unquote, because I was in all this debt. So in order to change that, in order to make sure that I got all my debt, I had to increase my income. We had to start budgeting. We had to start establishing financial goals, and all of that helped us get out of debt. But the great thing about getting out of debt before you start saving is that all the money that was going towards debt, it's something that you can then put towards your savings. So it can be $500, $1,000, $2,000. You'd be surprised how much extra money you have when you pay attention and when you force yourself to stay within a budget. And if you are trying to reach a certain financial goal and you try to make it happen, you're working so hard to make it happen, trust me, you are going to find ways to reach that goal. So dedication makes dreams come true. This was by the one and only Kobe Bryant. Remember that always. If you're ready to start saving money and you're saying, hey man, I'm good to go. Like I'm going to start implementing all these steps. Where are you going to put your money? Have you ever considered high yield savings accounts? Go check out this playlist over here where I share with you everything I've learned about high yield savings accounts, as well as bank reviews of a few of the biggest giants, as well as my favorite institution. I'll see you guys on the other side. Like this video and subscribe. Peace.